Again, welcome to Diplomacy and Negotiation class here. I just want to talk further what we have done last week from the slide of the class 3, right? So, okay, please turn the slide of class 3 into, actually, I will remind you a little bit about the diplomatic tools here, okay? There might be some 3 kind of things, okay? Okay, as we have talked last week, with the diplomatic tools here, we have 3 kind of things. Okay, we may have the old diplomacy as we have such tool as the main tools with the bilateral, right? Bilateralism as referring to relations between 2 states. And then so we just go further, especially after the Second World War, right? With the new diplomacy here, as we have some more tools to talk together among countries across the world as the multilateralism. And again, with the multilateralism requires states to follow international norms and pay more respect to international institutions. As I've said before, bilateral, that would be called as the old diplomacy, but it's not the end of the old diplomacy when we start the new diplomacy. Bilateral still exists until nowadays because we need to talk with the with 2 states together at at negotiating things or just making some relationships among each other with two or 3 or 4 countries. But okay, we mainly focus on the only 2 states. But okay, when we need to go further in the institutional, in the international institutions, as we have talked many times, okay, after the Second World War, our world just moved beyond only from country to country to the international institutions, which is the UN nowadays, United Nations. So that's why, okay, when we talk together, it's not only for a country to a country or a country to some countries, a few countries. But okay, we need to come together and talk as the global issues together and find out what we can do or find out what would be the result of any kind of conflicts to each other peacefully. So then multilateralism coming right out at the time. However, actually this kind of, old diplomacy and new diplomacy nowadays can turn together. This can combine old diplomacy and new diplomacy and call this as the traditional diplomacy. Because right now, okay, the world has changed. We just, go beyond this 21st century. So then, okay, all together new diplomacy can turn those 2 words into the traditional diplomacy. And then, okay, the contemporary diplomacy has coming right out, okay, in the world nowadays, because we moved from bilateral talk and multilateral talk to minilateral talk, which is the international relations concept that involved a small groups of nations collaborating to tackle problems or pursue mutual goals. So then can turn itself to be new diplomacy in some book or for some scholars as well. So then please be reminded that if some book or some theories or some journal that you may have look around 5 to 10 years ago, when they talk about old and new diplomacy, you may understand that, okay, the old diplomacy would turn to be the bilateralism and the new diplomacy would be the multilateralism. But, okay, nowadays, lots of the diplomacy research or the articles toward the diplomacy, we just, try to separate into 2 parts as well, but we combine old diplomacy as the bilateralism together with the new diplomacy as the multilateralism to be as the traditional diplomacy. And new diplomacy nowadays could turn into the minilateralism. But I just want to make it clear. So that's why I call those words as the minilateralism, as the contemporary diplomacy, because we still use it nowadays or even currently. Okay.